If you're in the music or entertainment industry or you know somebody therein, invite them. Let us all stick together as we all learn how to grow together.
The Christopher Odiley's Notebook on the Morgeez podcast. Center for Hip Hop Excellence.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Christopher Odiley's Notebook. This is the ultimate podcast on the Morgeez Radio International, where we are learning everything about the music business. Glad to let you know that we are back again, and this is season 2, and this ultimately is the very first episode on season 2. The Christopher Odiley's Notebook also now available on tv.morgeez.com in addition to radio.morgeez.com. So we are having best of both worlds. First off, before I even get started, as we have expanded on everything, if you would like to get mentored in music business, it's very easy for you now to sign up at morgeez.com and join the Morgeez talent mentorship or music business mentorship program. Yes, as you already know, my name is Christopher Odiley, aka Rap Done. I will be taking you on a journey into the music business world. Yes, today we have a very interesting topic that we're going to be dealing with today, and this topic is actually taken from original article, hand scripted, handcrafted by Mr. Christopher Odiley himself, that is me, about music licensing. An article titled How to Handle Music Licensing, Making the Music, and most of all, getting it licensed and getting paid. You know, this topic I'm going to be dealing with right now, I'm assuming that I am dealing with it for the fact that my listeners on the podcast, my viewers on morgeeztv.com or tv.morgeez.com has the knowledge or the simple basic knowledge of what music licensing is all about. So without delving too much into a longer or maybe a longer description or definition of what music licensing is all about, I presumably that everybody understand what music licensing is all about. But if not, music licensing in brief is just a simple way whereby a musician, it's a contract whereby a musician gives his right of ownership of the music to a certain group of people, company or individual, to the right for them to be able to use the music for certain period of time or certain project or certain situation whereby he will be rewarded monetarily. That is simply put music licensing is all about. That's what music licensing is all about in a simple definition. Now, like I said, this article is taken from the Morgeez blog. As I wrote this article about music licensing, I was thinking that musicians, music creators, or producers, most of the times always focus their energy on the retailing of the music, especially when you talk about placing all of digital platforms for downloading, for that kind of retail situation. But a little few people do understand the power of actually investing your time and energy in the music licensing. That is in commercial music licensing. This is how the article title read. It says, how to handle music licensing, making the music, getting it licensed, and most of all, getting paid. How do you go about that? This is the question, and this is where we strive as much as possible that we can, to put it forward like we know it without any dilution or any kind of, unnecessary research that we get the whole article and the whole of the of the podcast contaminated with artificial and unverified information. So what I'm trying to say is that this is handcrafted originally for you. Now let's get to it. How do you rely on music licensing as a source of income? How do you relying on music licensing as a source of income? This is, typically referring to musicians, music creators, producers, composers, and anybody that is working within the original music creation space. That is this. It is the dream of every music artist to make it. If I may use that word, make it, because just like workforce or every individual or every creative individual, people want to make it. They want to make it. By making it, that means that whatever that you are creating, be it music, be it, the art, fine art, graffiti art, and all of this other sculptural art and everything that you are making or producing, you want to make sure that you survive by them economically. It's financial reward that can be able to help you to be able to fend for your family, besides even making fame and fame and name and all of these other things that comes with it. The very first port of call is that you want to make sure that everything that you are creating is actually rewarding you financially. That is where your reliance on certain ways of monetizing your creation, which is in this situation is music. Your reliance on certain ways of making money, of making a good living out of it, is very, very crucial. So in this situation, we are talking about how can you rely on music licensing as a source of income. This is how we begin the whole story. This is the very basic of this whole podcast, how to rely on music licensing as a source of income. First, I've got key points that are actually, lined out for you. The very first one is, the process of making the music. Listen, we are talking about how you're going to be relying on music licensing as a source of income. How? First, let's talk about making the music. Making the music that could be profitable through licensing. So this is point number one on this article. It says making the music that could be profitable through licensing. Then on this point, it went further to stress that whether if you're a producer or you're an artist or you are a composer, before you put out the music, ensure that your thinking was in the right state of mind. What do I mean by this? What I mean by this is that the music that will be popular today, all right, might not even be recognized tomorrow. So if you are the kind of artist or the kind of music creator that is always focusing on today because you just want to make the hit and stay on top of the hit on the charts for today, I believe that music licensing would definitely be a problem for you, because some of the times when your music is actually booming in the air and you are on top of the chart, you might not even be having licensing deals. This is why it's all complicated, So on this very point on making the music that could be profitable through licensing, I have decided to to try to advise us music creator that when we want to start creating the music, we should have some kind of future or some aspect of the future in our minds. Then I went further to expatiate that we should think of legendary musicians like Bob Marley. Though I wasn't that much of a good fan, but everybody in the whole wide world knew that or know that Bob Marley is actually a legend in music. Then we talk about Tupac, we talk about Marvin Gaye, we talk about, you know, some great musicians that grace this planet with their massive body of talent. If you can shake all of those songs, all of those music that these great artists they put out, you know, they all have some kind of what can I say, similarity. If you take Bob Marley and Tupac, for example, these are both different genres, but in reality, both of them are considered legendary just because of their lyric or lyrical content. We talk about, you know, in Africa, we had, you know, Fela Kuti is one of those people who actually cemented his own legacy as a legend in music production, music content, and all that. So my advice or my position in this situation is that when you are a producer or an artist or music creator, writer, as long as you are in the industry of producing music as a content body, what I think we should all have in mind is a little bit of the future in our heart. So that when the music is stopped raving because of our lyrical content, because of what we have put into that song, some universal languages and some kind of universal character that we put into that music, that might just be a saving grace for music licensing opportunity, contract or agreement or deals coming your way. Simply because once the music is tight like that, a music that is carefully composed with great lyrical content will never fall short of a licensing opportunity or licensing deals. So there is a difference between making a one-hit wonder today and making music that can stand the test of time. I once heard somebody say that if you want to be sorry, pardon me for that. It's actually Kobe Bryant. He said, if you want to be a legend, you should be doing legendary things. That's exactly what I'm trying to talk about here in this process of, you know, making the music that could be profitable through licensing. So making the music that could be profitable through licensing is something that you should have in mind. This Kobe Bryant, a little line that I've just quoted for you, which says, if you want to be a legend, you should be doing things that are legendary. Because music licensing is something that is almost like test of times. Because some of these legends that I've just mentioned to you as an example, when they were composing their music, they were putting universal messages. Universal messages, I believe, is one of those things that will actually get your music into the light of licensing lucrative deals. That's because, for example, the body of work or the content, your lyrical content, your melodies, and all of these other things that you have used together you've combined together to make that kind of that music, that piece of music, that song, you know, once they are universal enough with great message attached to it, then the sky ain't no limit for you. And then the hope of getting into the music licensing business with your talent is actually straightforward. So that's how it is in this aspect. It says making that great music, making that music that could be profitable through licensing. This, in summary, it means that you want to be making music that can stand the test of times, music that have universal messages, music that has great body of content or great elements of content that will be that will be attractive to music users. Should I say commercial music users or thereabout? So that's what this is all about. That's what making the music that could be profitable through licensing is all about. You got to believe in your creative intuition and you've got to stand firm with your creative ability, which is in most cases is a natural phenomena that is lying within you. That's exactly what you got to hold on to when you're creating your music, thinking of music licensing. So the article went to say, why thinking of your music license or why considering putting your music up for licensing for any kind of special usage, whether it's commercial or personal usage, it is quite important to understand how the process works. This is very crucial. Why we want to thinking of music licensing as a source of our income and everything. Now we're getting ready. We want to start putting out music that we are hoping that might just be some kind of material that would definitely bring us some kind of profit through licensing. There are certain ways, there are certain things that we must bear in mind. We must understand how the music licensing business or industry works. This is one thing that's so fascinating about music business because each and every aspect of music business has their own contract, their own agreement, their own way that it works. So it's a kind of, very clumsy sometimes when you don't understand or have a clue how things really works. You definitely be locked out. So in most cases, this is why you find artists and record labels always sometimes getting at each other negatively because in most cases some people or some of the parties or both parties never really understood exactly the kind of contract they were getting themselves into. So in this situation, it is very important and crucial that we understand exactly how music licensing works. Now we've got two key types of music licensing that I want to take out from this article and talk about here. One is music license for personal use. Music license for personal use. What do I mean by that? In this situation, I'm talking about, people who are creative people as well. For example, some videographer or content producers in small size, like, small people, small business, not like as if it's huge business like that, who want to use your music as background music or background sound, or your soundtrack or anything, or it's full song for as background for their program, just like me right now on this podcast. If I had picked your music to use as a background, your original composition as a background, you might want to also issue me a licensing usage on that. So that situation means that you are issuing a personal usage license because this music of yours that I'm going to be using, I just want to be using this as a background for this my video that I'm creating right now, or for this television, for this internet video. So now it is personal use. It's not like as if when I'm using it right now, I'm going to reproduce the music for some resale somewhere. No, I'm not doing that. What I'm actually going to be doing is that I'll be using the music for my commercial use per se, but myself only. Me and I only, with this small little small space of content only. So that is what personal usage is all about. Remember, this personal usage that I'm telling you right now, even if you're consuming the music at home, it's also personal usage. But this is kind of different because when you go to the shop and buy a music that you're gonna be playing at home, this is not what I'm talking about right now. I am talking about a music piece that myself as content producer or some other content producer who want to use as background music for their content to be brought or to be streamed on the internet, but is personal. For example, YouTubers, these are personal users of your music. If some YouTuber has decided to use your music piece as their original soundtrack, that is personal usage. So you're gonna be like issuing a personal usage license to that person. All right. So that is personal usage, and this is one of the great way of earning revenue from your music. In this situation, it may not be that difficult because a personal user might just decide to use your music. Doesn't matter if it's a great song that's gonna be standing the test of time, that's gonna make you legendary. They ain't gonna care about that. What they care about is that they like your music and they want to approach you to be able to use your music through you licensing it to them, which means you granting them the right to use the music in that situation. Then we have the most crucial one of all of them, which is commercial usage. On commercial usage, we have one usage for advertising of all nature. So all kinds of advertising, like for example, radio producers or whatever, they decide to use your music as a background sound or as a theme song for certain commercial on radio or on TV or on the internet, as long as it's advertising, like these 60 seconds jingles and 90 seconds jingles and 120 seconds jingles that decided to use your music as a commercial soundtrack for their ad is exactly what I'm referring to. So this is the using your music for advertising purposes. That is number one. Then number two, remember I'm talking about a music licensing for commercial usage right now. Then number two, I've got usage for films and movies. This is quite clear. Usage for films and movies can be explained as follows. Like, for example, movie producers who decided to use your music as one of their soundtrack for their film. Then we've got outdoor usage as well at the cinema or at the conferences and everywhere, broadcasting. So all of that is also commercial usages. Now we're going to talk about the third one, which is broadcast. Really important. So broadcast, it means that all of the television stations, for example, they created some jingles. They want to be using your music as a soundtrack or as a theme song, for their jingles or their TV programs. All of those put together is what we call broadcast, including the radio and even the streaming radios on the internet. Commercial streaming radio stations, when they try to use your music and all of that requires some form of music licensing deals. Then also we must also remember that sometimes as an artist, it's not quite realistic that you as an artist, you're actually the one who's licensing your music. That's because your record label could have been doing all of those licensing for you. But if you are indie artist and you ain't dealing with no record label on the mainstream level, or you running your own record label as an indie artist, then you should be aware of all of these usage opportunities that's as far as music licensing is concerned. Yes, folks, you stay with me on the Christopher Odiley's Notebook on the Morgeez podcast. Now streaming on Morgeez Radio International via radio.morgeez.com. and also available on Morgeez TV platform, that is tv.morgeez.com. Now let's talk about getting paid. There are several ways of getting paid in this music licensing deals or agreements or whichever way that you want to put it in this music licensing business or so on. There are several ways of getting paid. You can get paid by licensing your music directly if you ain't have a record label to help you get that sorted out, or you can actually first of all, as an independent artist, you can pitch your music to some music licensing agencies who can be in charge of pitching your music to client, and they will be handling all of the licensing agreements and everything for you. So whichever way or whichever approach that you decide to take, most importantly as an independent artist on this music licensing business, is fair. It's okay. You might get into a contract with someone as an independent artist without a record label. Let me speak from that point of view. That you had pitched your music for licensing, and maybe through Morgeez music licensing, because that's exactly what we do as well. So you have pitched your music for licensing, or we have pitched it for licensing. Then we have different kinds of contract, or different kinds of payment terms, usage terms and payment terms. Let's say, for example, we have licensed your music for a commercial usage, advertising usage, in most cases. Then we have we get it licensed for once-off fees, which means that we can strike a deal with the customer that or the client that we are granted the right to use this music for a period of 12 months, that is 1 year, or 24 months, or 36 months, with option to renew usage. Option to renew usage it's always applicable in the commercial sense, because when TV commercials agencies, has acquired a license from you to use the music for their commercial, for example, if the commercial is going to be running for a year or two on TV, that's exactly what the agreement is going to be about. But if by the time this first term of usage is expired and we want to get it renewed, or maybe the client to the agency want this ad to come back on TV or come back in the cinemas or wherever this ad is being played, when they want that ad to come back alive in broadcast format again, then they're gonna be paying you, or you're gonna be charging them what we call renewal fees. In most cases, which is some percentage lesser than the original fees, but then it's something worth looking up to. That is usage. That is number one, usage terms. Then the number two usage term, which is a very crucial one, is usage in perpetuity. In this agreement, this is a kind of agreement that says that you, the artist or the music creator, or your team of producers and everybody that's involved in that music, has granted the license, the right to use that music to another corporate body or commercial agency or whatever, TV programs, whatever, for usage forever. This is what we call usage in perpetuity. This usage in perpetuity is something that you have the choice to agree to, or you don't agree to it, because this is more or less like a once-off fees. Because once they pay you at this point in time, you sign the agreement and you get paid for the music to be used for whatever it's going to be used for. Then it's going to continue to run for as long as they use that program or piece of program that they had applied your music. So these are the various ways of getting paid. Each and every one of them is always all right. It's always okay to ride with. It depends on your situation and depends what you know about or how you want to negotiate a contract. But in most cases, your record label should be handling all of this for you through their agencies or through through the initial contract that you had with your record label, or if you're an indie artist, then you can be able to be rest assured that this is a great music business opportunity that can be able to generate much more income for you than even the other aspect or the other avenues that you are always chasing after. Yes, folks. That's how it is on this yeah on this great topic, how to handle music licensing, making the music, getting it licensed, and most of all, getting paid. Remember, this is exactly what this topic is all about: music licensing. As you already know, Morgeez Music Licensing is fully active, fully waiting for you. If you've got any piece of music that you want licensed for commercial use, hit Morgeez up. That's music.morgeez.com. Submit it, and we're going to get it licensed for you. Great avenue for great revenue. Yes, and if you want to book Christopher Odiley, that is me. If you want to book me for any event regarding music business workshop or music business lectures or music business speaking, motivation or mentoring in anywhere in the globe, I am fully available. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Yes, I remain Christopher Odiley, your host of the Christopher Odiley's Notebook on the Morgeez Podcast. Until next time, peace.
The Christopher Odiley's Notebook on the Morgeez Podcast.